The year is 2552, a short time after Master Chief flew up the Halo ring. Master Chief just got his new suit and is getting ready to accept awards for his efforts in the battle on the Halo ring. He is on a space station hovering in the orbit of planet Earth. Master Chief, Sergeant Johnson, and Miranda Keyes, the daughter of Captain Keyes, all accept their awards from Lord Hood, the highest ranking man of the UNSC Navy. All of a sudden, a small Covenant fleet arrives and attacks the space station. The UNSC forces defend, and Lord Hood wonders why the fleet that attacked was so small. However, he knew that it was probably just a warm-up fleet. The Covenant goes down to Earth's surface and lands on the African city of New Mombasa. The UNSC quickly follow and prove to be too much for the Covenant. The Covenant corvette that is in atmosphere realizes that it has to retreat, so it decides to slip space in atmosphere. The UNSC decides that they can't let it get away without figuring out why they came to Earth, so they send frigate Forward Unto Dawn to slip space with it. Forward Unto Dawn is Miranda Keyes' frigate, and it is in charge of Master Chief and Sergeant Johnson. But wait.
Latest intel reports Covenant troops are massing beneath the carrier.
They're pulling back? Why?
Not gonna find out way up here.
Troopers! We are green and very, very mean! I take it back. Navy got its butt kicked.
Hey, Romeo. Remember when I told you to shut your mouth?
Yeah?
Consider that a standing order.
Captain, 15 clicks off the deck.
Stand by to adjust trajectory. On my mark.
What did he just say?
Mark!
We're way off course.
We're heading exactly where I need to go.
But we're gonna miss the carrier. Radiation! Covenant just set off a nuke?
No, the carrier's going to jump. It's a slip space rupture. You need to...
EMP, losing power. They popped your chutes. We're going in hard.
The first thing that you will notice about this game is its name. Obviously, the game is called Halo 3 ODST and not Halo ODST. This is because it not only used Halo 3's engine, but also the game itself. This is why a lot of people consider it to just be a DLC or an expansion to Halo 3. However, the game was priced at $60 and was sold on its own as a standalone game, so it has to be judged as a standalone game. So how was it? Well, at the point of Halo 3's release, Bungie still owed Microsoft 2 more games and only had 3 years to do it. This led them to splitting up, with one team being much bigger than the other. The other team obviously was going to work on Reach. The smaller team, not being as big, needed a shortcut. So instead of building an entire new game, they decided to cut the work in half and just use Halo 3. So to start, Bungie already had finished the mainline Halo trilogy with Halo 3. So like the team working on Reach, they had a huge number of possibilities to tell whatever story they wanted in the Halo universe. They decided to take the player out of the Spartan armor and put you into the boots of an ODST. The game would be set in 2552 during the events of Halo 2 in the first city on Earth to be attacked by the Covenant, New Mombasa. Now, before I get into the story or any of that, I want to go over the obvious effects of playing as an ODST. The first major thing is that the ODSTs are not super soldiers. They are the best of the best, but they are still human. This means that they are not as strong as Spartans, they don't have shields, they don't have the respect of a Spartan, they can get scared on the battlefield, and they are expendable. Now, Bungie wasn't going to completely change the Halo formula just because you're playing as an ODST. You can still jump decently high, most of the mechanics were the same, and you didn't die in 2 hits. However, Bungie removed equipment and dual wielding from the player's sandbox, but it wasn't all losses for playing as an ODST. Bungie introduced the new mechanic of visor mode, which on the surface is just night vision, except it's actually useful, but there's also a data center within the helmet, which you can upload information into throughout the game. This actually helps you throughout the gameplay. An often overlooked feature in Halo is the health bar. In Halo Combat Evolved, the health bar introduced a new level of strategy throughout the game, with the player only being able to naturally regenerate their shield and they would need to find health packs to recover the health. However, in Halo 2 and 3, health was just an overlooked and it naturally regenerated just like the shields. However, an ODST doesn't have shields, so Bungie introduced the health packs again. The health system in Halo 3 ODST is very unique. Basically, the amount of damage you take is influenced by a composure factor. ODSTs have fears and worry, so when they are getting shot at, they can panic. And when they lose all their composure, they take more damage. It is a very interesting and well done system that adds to the experience of being an ODST. The rest of the gameplay is in the title. The gunplay, the enemies, the vehicles, the sandbox, pretty much every piece of the gameplay is Halo 3. And I feel that the most appropriate place to talk about Halo 3's gameplay would be in a Halo 3 review. All there is to know is that they added a suppressed SMG and a Magnum and removed the normal Magnum and battle rifle. Also, I might be dumb because I haven't played Halo 3's campaign in like a year, but I'm pretty sure engineers were introduced in ODST. But yeah, overall Halo 3's gameplay works really well in this game. Now, Bungie wasn't just going to sell a campaign and call it a game. They needed a form of multiplayer to justify why the product was worth full price. So, they came up with a game mode that would stick around throughout the Halo franchise with Firefight. People still think that this Firefight is the best version, even surpassing Reach. And even before the news, I would have understood why. Being an ODST is a lot more tense when the objective is to survive. In Reach, of course, it is more well designed, but ODST has an extra element of tension when playing. Keep in mind that Bungie didn't tone down the enemies for this game. The enemies in Halo 3 where you play as the Spartans are the same ones you fight here. In terms of maps, they are all taken from the campaign. They play well, but they're straight from the campaign. It would have been cool to see unique maps, but these maps are still good. However, the reason I now believe that ODST has a better Firefight is because of the recent update that 343 is adding. Having Flood in Firefight is the best idea they could have had, and it is a blast. Flood are just so much more fitted for a horde mode like Firefight. On top of that, they are adding elites and sentinels, and on top of that, the factions fight each other, so now you get to experience epic battles. This is the closest thing we will have to Forge AI because of how customizable they made it. The campaign starts with the ODST team getting ready to drop into the Covenant Corvette, attacking New Mombasa. Buck, the leader, informs the team that the Oni agent Veronica will be giving them orders to assist her on her mission. Now, I could try to explain each of the characters and their personalities, but it is hard to explain and would be better if you just played the campaign and saw it for yourself. I'll do a quick rundown though. Buck is the leader of the ODST team and cares about his men not only because of the mission, but also because of his friendship that he had developed with them. Veronica is an Oni agent that actually had a romantic relationship with Buck, but it got complicated because of their job. She is there for the job and doesn't mess around too much. Romeo is the laid-back, joking guy. He cracks jokes even in the worst of situations. Mickey is the almost frightful technician. Dutch is the heavy-duty guy that enjoys the war more than its purpose. And Rookie, the ODST you play as, is a completely silent protagonist. This works well when you are roaming around the city alone, but when combined with a lighthearted story with characters like this, it becomes almost impossible to take him seriously, like a baby time aura that the Rookie ends up giving off almost because he can't talk. It's hard to explain, but I think this clip is a good example of what I mean.
And that?
For coming back. Thank you.
You did good, Rookie. No doubt.
Anyway, the team banters for a little bit before getting inside the drop pods and preparing to drop. The lights count down, and then the pods are released. We see an entire war, we are headed straight down to it from the sky. This is actually one of my favorite cutscenes in the game because of how grand and iconic it is. The pods approach the Covenant Corvette, but all of a sudden it slips spaces in atmosphere and sends a massive EMP blast, sending everything off course. Rookie holds onto his pod and braces for impact. About 6 hours after the drop, Rookie wakes up to find himself stuck in the side of a building during the nighttime. Rookie breaks down the drop pod door and falls to the ground. He finds himself in the aftermath of a war zone that grew into the night, now being controlled by the Covenant with the occasional Phantom patrolling and looking for survivors. This set piece is the open world of the Halo 3 ODST's campaign. You go through the night sneaking around or going through Covenant patrol teams trying to piece together what had happened. Whenever you find an important item that hints at what happened, the game flashes back and you play a mission of what the item means. For example, the first thing you find is a recon helmet stuck in a building that belonged to Veronica. Then you flash back and play as Buck. This format of storytelling works really well in the game, but it's kind of confusing to go over in a story in a video like this. So I'm just going to go over in chronological order. But trust me, the way the game handles the story is just masterful. So moments after the drop, Buck doesn't get knocked out and just lays there recovering inside his drop pod. However, a few moments later, Veronica comes in the comms and informs him that her drop pod is jammed and it is only a matter of time before the Covenant find her. Buck quickly hurries to her location and fights through a number of Covenant forces before finally getting in her drop pod. However, when he opens it up, he finds nobody in there. He loses himself thinking for a second until Romeo spots him and meets up with him. He and Buck reunite and Buck says that their new mission is to get his men out of the city. Romeo and Buck then go for drones that could have had the answers to what happened to the rest of the team. 3 hours after dropping, Dutch wakes up and finds himself on the coast of New Mombasa in the middle of a war. He immediately starts helping the troops fight the Covenant and takes no time to worry about what had happened. As he fights more forces, he drives himself off a cliff and lands on the city. Moments later, Mickey comes out of his drop pod to find himself in the middle of the city with troops retreating from a wraith. He gets in the tank and helps destroy the Covenant forces. Mickey and Dutch then find each other, and they get ordered by a police officer to help protect an Oni base. Now, before I continue, I just want to talk about the level design. It is pretty good. It isn't too linear or too open. It is just a consistent path where the player always has a lot of options and strategies on how to progress through the level, just like in Halo 3. However, these levels can feel a bit short sometimes, but it is better to have a short and consistently good level than a long level where only like 50% of it is good. Dutch and Mickey then defend the Oni base, but the Covenant pushes them back multiple times. They end up all the way back inside the base. However, the UNSC has already set charges inside the base to blow it up. Mickey is worried about this, but still decides to go through with it. They escape the base and it blows up as they fly away. Mickey and Dutch then spot Buck and Romeo on the heights of the buildings. However, before they can pick them up, they get ambushed by Banshees. Romeo and Buck fight on top of the buildings to get to the new destination where they can get picked up. When they get there, Mickey and Dutch have their Pelican destroyed. The team then holds out on top of a rooftop, with them destroying Banshees and forces that are being dropped off. They defend successfully until one last Phantom drops a brute chieftain which impales Romeo. The team get rid of the chieftain and tend to Romeo, who is now heavily wounded. Buck and the team go find a health kit and tend to Romeo. With no sign of Veronica, Buck decides that it is time to leave the city, and with no transport, they decide to go out and steal a Phantom. This is about the time when the Rookie wakes up and starts roaming the city alone. However, after searching for a long time, Rookie finds a distress signal in one of the phone booths. He finds out that Veronica needs help. He follows the rally point and finds it to be deep underground. He goes and eventually gets to Veronica. She informs him that an engineer has betrayed the Covenant and has downloaded a lot of the information in the city security system. This means that with this engineer, they could find out why the Covenant came to Earth in the first place. Rookie and Veronica go for it. Buck and the team hijack a Phantom. Buck gets in a Banshee and transports the team out of the city. The team reflects on what had happened, and then Buck remembers that something that Veronica said. He thinks he knows where Veronica is and orders Mickey to turn the Phantom around and go back into the city. He goes to Veronica's location and finds Rookie and Veronica transporting an engineer. Veronica and Buck reunite and then they focus on transporting the engineer to the rally point where the Phantom can pick them up. They fight through the highway until finally getting to the Phantom. They all get on the Phantom and they take the engineer back to the UNSC, but not before reflecting on the night that they just had lived through. One hell of a night. Having played both Halo Reach and Halo 1, I can confidently say that Halo 3 ODST is the most atmospheric Halo game ever. One of the most atmospheric games in general. The open world is just so well done that sometimes I don't even want to fight the Covenant. I just want to walk around in the dark, rainy city looking at the beautiful visuals while listening to the amazing soundtrack. The soundtrack in this game is the most beloved Halo soundtrack ever. Everybody ranks it as their favorite, and I can definitely see why. It is just so smooth and fitting for the game. But yeah, this campaign is the real deal. The levels are all good, the gameplay is good, and the story is good. The only thing about it is that it can be a little short sometimes, but there's a lot of content in the open world for it to be worth it. Overall, Halo 3 ODST is a very good game. The campaign is very quality and its mechanics really enhance the game. Firefight, while not being the complete replacement for multiplayer, was still very important in the Halo franchise and was well done. I think that everything in this game is good, but I feel they could have done more with more time. How cool would ODST PvP have been? We can only wonder. But yeah, this game is worth playing, and I just recommend to anyone, whether you played it or not. Like, seriously, dude, revisiting this game is worth it. I give this game a 7 out of 10. Just a solid effort by Bungie.